us at the bar, please.
Welcome to Tavern Tales, a curated 5e Dungeons & Dragons adventure set in the tales of the Yawning Portal campaign module by Wizards of the Coast.
Previously on Tavern Tales. It's been a hot minute since we left our heroes in the right corridor after flying through a chamber with hot, muddy geysers, and now it's time to meet Vulcan's old friend, Tenmir.
Come sit down and drink with the enemy, raise a glass and toast to the enemy, and I'm not gonna do this on my own. So come sit down and laugh with the enemy, raise a glass and sing to the enemy, and I'm not gonna do this on my own. So I won't end up being alone, 'cause I won't drink my drink alone. So what about you? One beer or two, I'll drink to you.
So all of this started because he's the master of the Six Galleons.
Yeah.
And the master of the Six Galleons, in accordance with what was laid out by your character in the beginning, imprisoned and enslaved
Yep.
your people.
Yep.
And that he liked to go about the ocean and enslave Tritons.
Yep.
To which he's never really firmly acknowledged or denied.
Yep.
But he knows so much about your people that he was the one that knew about the Kelpie Triton Accords from 100 years ago.
Yep.
Seems like you're making a, what is it, mole out of an anthill or something like that?
What?
No, how does
That's
this...
just as good as my fangs see your gills.
we see Gil the Fang on this one.
You're making a mole out of an
No,
anthill.
what is that saying?
It's mountain out of a molehill.
There you go.
I like yours even better.
Mole out of an anthill.
It's so barbarian.
Mr. J.
There's so few things that are genuinely barbaric
I know.
about Vulcan
Yeah.
that it's nice when those things come up.
It's just this like inadequacies in language.
Just interesting,
Yeah.
great cliches.
Mr. J. I really hope they'll get a good life together.
Yeah, I don't think that's ever going to happen, but it'll be interesting.
Thanks for attempting to share your popcorn.
So you pull out these 8 different keys. You have 9 of them, right? That fell out of these things, and you check all of the locks, and none of them work.
Darn it.
I'm done crying on your shoulder, and I pull my head back, and I'm like, we will pretend that never happened, and we will continue on our way. How shall we open this door?
Well, I have my embroidery kit if you need some pins.
No, I would like to learn how to move on with my life and live without it.
Okay.
But thank you.
Vulcan, this door is made of very hard, stony type wood. Would be very resistant to any bashy smashy.
So I'm out.
You've regarded it at length while you were hugging Zuvus.
Yeah.
Does not seem to be something you could knock down.
Okay.
So the right tool for the job, using thieves or artisan tools in 1 hour during a rest,
Mm-hmm.
I can create a set of artisan tools. Are thieves tools considered artisan tools?
My embroidery kit is an artisan tool.
Yeah.
Can you reverse this?
Reverse what?
Like you could use my embroidery kit to create these tools. I don't know. It's really the DM's call because it's not worded
Because
that
it
way.
says I have to use thieves or artisan tools to make it, but I can just create artisan tools.
I haven't used these all dungeon. I'll get more.
I can make carpenter's tools. Yeah.
You mean Jesus?
Yes. Yes, I am. Well,
You are proficient with thieves' tools. You do not have them at hand. So you can make the check with disadvantage if you would like to.
I will.
Okay.
Can roll 2 nat ones, aren't I?
No. Won't matter. 1 nat 1 is all it'll take. There it is.
Stop.
Yeah. Your finger
It's really thrown off the thing.
is really throbbing.
Yeah.
You're not happy about it. And you can't seem to get this door unlocked.
No.
Foiled by a door.
I wish I still had mending. Got rid of it.
What would mending do?
I would mend my finger finally.
That is
I can sew it back on for you.
I'll still hurt and throb and distract me.
I got nothing. I got my big axe, but I won't do nothing.
What if we all run at this door together and we knock it down?
I don't think we should be having you do anything physical, seeing as how you are sans one finger. We wouldn't want to see what would happen if you ran headlong into a door.
Vulcan and I arming up, doing a strong constructed man contest.
If required.
Could I use my tinker tools to try and open it?
Sure. Why not?
I'll do that. Do I still have disadvantage?
Absolutely.
Better.
Mm-hmm.
And what would I be using?
Are you proficient at Tinker's tools?
I'm going to say E, because I have tool expertise.
Yes,
So
but that is in one particular type of tool, not all
yeah,
tools.
expertise with all tools I'm proficient with.
Correct. So you get to double your bonus.
But does that mean I'm proficient with it?
Yeah, that means you're proficient with those tools because this is where your skills are.
Oh, okay.
And you have thieves' tools crossed out here, which I'm assuming you just assumed they were. I had these tools.
Yeah.
I'm going to assume yes, you're a level 7 character and you're proficient. You had to roll with disadvantage. Came out with a 10 plus what? So you have expertise, which doubles your proficiency bonus on Tinker's tools.
Right.
And you get to add your intelligence bonus to that. So it is 3 plus 3 is 6 plus your intelligence
4.
of 4 is 10. So that comes to
20.
There we go. So even with
Yay.
disadvantage, you have managed to, with your Tinker's tools, figure out what you needed to do to knock around one of the 9 keys, to tinker with it, to figure out what will work, and you use the wooden key to shave it down and add a bit of other pieces to it, and you pop the lock on the door.
Cool.
Good job.
The door opens towards you, and it opens into an area of utter blackness. You cannot see into this room.
Even with the moon-touched short sword?
The moon-touched sword's light stops at the entrance to this room. Your dark vision will not penetrate.
Chad, can you see in here?
Nope.
This seems like a very good place to sleep in.
Like a Saturday morning. Like
Yeah.
that's what I was picturing, like to sleep in.
Yeah.
Not like to sleep in, but to sleep in.
Sleep in.
My eyes go very black and I peer into the darkness, attempting to detect any sort of magical traces within the room.
You cannot penetrate into the room.
Yeah.
Because it is dark.
Okay.
And you cannot see the things that are in it, but you know and you can detect that this is a magical darkness.
Can I attempt to dispel it?
Interesting.
I dispel it by turning the lights on.
There's a light switch to the right.
Here it is.
That's where that is.
Funny.
If you would like to cast that spell,
Yeah.
then you may attempt to begin to do so.
All right.
However, a voice speaks out
Yeah.
before you cast the spell.
Yeah.
And the voice says, "Do mine eyes deceive me? Is that not Vulcan the pirate before me?"
Do I recognize the voice?
Oh, that voice takes you back immediately. As Thaysis begins to cast the words for dispel magic, you are transported back to the time you were the master of 5 galleons, and you knew your good friend, the human Tenmir. How did you know him?
We sailed the seas together on our many fleet of ships. I had 5 of them and he had 1.
Nice. Yes. Was this like a brotherhood of piracy?
Yeah, it was.
Excellent.
We would go on several capers together.
And you enjoyed calling them capers together?
Yes.
Nice. And then when you ordered pizza, it always had capers on it?
No, he was allergic, but we still called them capers.
And that was the only caper he could ever go on.
Yes.
But you would still order capers on your pizza. Okay.
Absolutely.
I love that. You and Tenmir were bosom buddies. Never had the interest in your life to ever have a 6th galleon. 5 was all the fingers on one hand. 5 was all you needed, right?
Yes.
Unless somebody were to happen to lose a finger and then you would get that finger and then have 6 fingers and then you could be the master of 6 galleons because you had 6. Anyway, so something happened to Tenmir and you blame yourself for it. And the Triton people were no doubt involved. So tell me the story. It happened on a dark and stormy night.
So Tenmir's ship is taken hostage. It becomes under siege by rogue pirate associations, and the Tritons were involved somehow as well. And I wasn't able to get to him in time to assist him or to save him. And then, dealing with stuff happening to my ships as well.
Oh, wow. So it was a big
it was a big battle.
Okay.
Like, we're talking Pirates of the Caribbean stuff level of battle. So there's battles going on his ships and on his ship and on my ships. And so I couldn't get to him in time.
Okay, but when you get to his ship, because you were able to repel the hoarders and boarders on your side, and you fly over to his ship alone to work to save the day, your great axe at your side, you land heavily on the ship. What happens?
He is not there. He is gone. And his crew is badly beaten and several are dead.
You manage to save the first mate with a well-timed strike of your great axe against
just a random pirate.
Dwarven pirate.
Yes.
Who falls with a soundless cry into the murky depths of the waters as the storm around you rages on. It seems like the perfect timed fight for this sort of thing, but it's terrible against you with your dark vision and your wings as you save the day. The first mate looks up to you and says, "He's gone."
What do you mean he's gone?
Captain Tenmir is taken by some foul creature of the night. Pale white skin and fangs, sharp as daggers.
No.
He's down below.
So when the first mate said that he was down below,
yeah,
Vulcan, for whatever reason, dropped his great axe and just dove into the water.
Oh, so not below in the ship.
Not
but below
the
water.
Yeah. I don't know.
He dumb.
Yeah, so he just dives into the water. Because when he said below, he would have said below deck, not below.
Okay, then let's revise that
yes.
to say below deck. I had assumed that was clearly undertaken, but he gestures to the stairwell, the gangway down into the below decks as he says this.
And so Vulcan goes below deck to try and find Tenmir.
Vulcan, with a terrific leap, grips his great axe more tightly in one hand, pulls his wings in tight because he knows he's about to descend into the below decks of the ship. And there is a resounding crash below decks of something tearing. And you come into the storage bay or the
hull.
The hold.
The hold.
Yeah. You come into the hold to find what?
What Vulcan runs into is that he sees this pale creature.
Yeah.
It looks like he's tearing into something, but because the creature's in the way, Vulcan can't really see what this creature is tearing into.
Muscles rippling in his giant, broad-chested
talons
back. You can see talons on his hands, that sort of thing, right? He's wearing wet, dripping, sodden pants with no shoes as he's tearing into something. What is that something?
It looks like it's clothing, so Vulcan thinks it could be a person.
Oh, okay.
So he sees like it looks like a shirt's being ripped into, and there's like pieces of leather from what could be pants that are on the floor of the hold that are being torn into.
Tenmir was always good at everything he did because Tenmir happened to have a very valuable, priceless, magical artifact, a warhammer. Whelm. The Warhammer Whelm, to be exact. And you knew he had this Warhammer. It did make things more complicated because it was a sought-after piece that so many were hungry for. You see Whelm raised up in the hand of a figure being torn at by this white monster. Cry out in agony and you hear your friend's voice. And Whelm comes crashing down for what you assume to be is the second time upon the bow of the ship, and another resounding rent occurs, and water comes coursing, rushing into the ship. What do you try to do?
So now that I know that it's Tenmir, Vulcan tried to get this creature off of him and save him.
Okay, so you rush over to grab...
Just full tilt, running over, trying to grab him, but the water's just coming in too fast, and there's too much force.
Sure, you get to the white creature in time to see the creature look up to you, huge fangs, bat-like face, seems to be some sort of vampiric triton or whatever, and you can see as your friend Tenmir is pulled out through the bottom of the hull. He has gaping wounds in his chest and neck, and you can see the blood coursing down from the figure before you. It is the very last time you ever saw your friend Tenmir, and what happened betwixt you and this vampiric triton that night. And don't say sex stuff.
Absolutely not. I ain't playing into no one's fantasy. So seeing
Then
his...
it's the boring choice.
I agree.
So seeing his friend being, brutally wounded, Vulcan just engages into a blind rage, and he just mercilessly destroys this creature with claws and teeth in his tail, and just essentially just senselessly murders this thing.
Wow.
Right there on the hull, on the ship.
The battle wages for an exceptionally long time as you rage and attempt to destroy this vampiric creature before you. However, its wounds heal as swiftly as you can rain them down upon it, and you need to call out for aid at some point here, and fire is used upon the creature. And despite your bloodlust and desperate need to kill this vampire, unfortunately, you're a solo player who's nowhere near 7th level even at this point. And it would be very, very hard for you without some form of magical assistance to destroy this creature. What level does your fangs and claws go magical?
Tasha's cauldron of everything. So I'd be probably, 5th, maybe 4th?
Yeah, somewhere around there. You're only the master of 5 galleons. Maybe you're only 5th level.
Makes sense.
Maybe post this fight where you win and the creature is driven back through fire and the assistance of other first mates and whatnot of the ship is thrown out into the sea as well. You unfortunately feel you've grievously wounded it, but you were not able to kill this damnable vampire that has taken your friend from you. And you patch up this hole in the ship, write it, name the first mate as your principal officer of your 6th galleon. And what happens next?
Vulcan goes back to the area in which he thought, or like the general area he thought where the battle was happening, and he tries to find his friend Tenmir, but the searches are fruitless, and at that point he just assumes the worst, that Tenmir is gone and washed out to sea and is in Davy Jones' locker, and he moves on.
Is there a funeral? Is there a wake? Is there any recognition? Do you rename the ship the Tenmir?
He renames the ship the Tenmir, and that's his 6th galleon, and he moves on.
And also the reason why you never became the master of any further galleons.
Yes.
Great. Yeah, that's a very sad and sorrowful tale. So when you hear Tenmir's voice come through the darkness as Thaysis begins to cast Dispel Magic, Tenmir calls out, "Stop, no."
But Tenmir, is that you?
It is. Do not cast the spell. Do not reveal me.
Why? I thought you were dead.
Do you stop or do you finish casting the spell? That's more the question. I love the why, as Thaysis is already saying, Raven Queen.
Raven Queen, you. Oh. Yeah, I'll stop.
Okay.
Ignore that for now. Thank you.
911, what's your emergency?
Raven Queen hotline.
But you were dead. We lost you at sea.
Yes. This was terrible. I was lost. What's a good name for a terrible Triton, horrible, one of the Triton depravities?
Gaia.
Maybe something a little less fraught.
Steve.
Yeah, you went to one extreme after the other.
Bob. I was like thinking like Ichabod, but Bob.
It sounded so weird.
Arvor.
I like Steve
that.
too. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying no to Steve.
Friggin' Steve.
Steve is great. After 5 years, I love how your guys' first choices are still like the weirdest stuff, but nonetheless. I was misled. I am a creature of the night now, a creature of the depths. The horrible, depraved actions of the Tritons, most hated and feared boogeyman. My people would have called the Baba Yaga. The Triton people called them Arabor. And to the human population, they are known as Steve. Which is less striking fear into the hearts and all. But nonetheless, this Arabor applied me with many moonlight meetings. I think it was after the Heart of Whelm, my great weapon.
You had dates?
And it was all a ploy to take the weapon from me. Arbor lured me into the hall as the ship's attack will occur, and then he bit me most voraciously and terribly, and infected me. When the water overtook me and carried me into the depths, Whelm was still at my side. I fell to unconsciousness, and I died only to rise again as a vampire. And I cannot bear to see my friend see me in this most hideous state. Do not cross the threshold, my friend. Do not come in here. I'm bound to Caraptis. I'm bound to attack and destroy any who enters this room in the pursuit of Whelm. Would that I could remove this weapon from my parsonage. Would that I could gain my freedom, gain recompense for the things I had done since I became this abhorrent creature.
What if we could free you? We are here in search of ending Caraptis. It would be nice to see you again.
I would love this most desperately. To look upon the face of my friend would be a great blessing.
Maybe don't look to the person on my left, as I gesture over to Zuvus. Well, you're Triton.
Yeah. It's the Triton boogeyman that hurt him.
Yeah, how do you feel about the Triton boogeyman?
It's what our nightmares are created of, and it's the story we were told as kids to make sure we came home before the moon came up.
There's a story about what happens when small children are taken by Erebor and who become the child of Erebor, which is like the big thing. And like now you're talking to a child of Erebor.
Yeah. You should know this lore. You know everything about us.
I know the law. I know the law, not the lore.
That's so good.
It feels like...
What? You can have a white gem too.
Yeah.
I turn my head slightly to Jot and whisper into his like little tiny ear. This is probably some sort of warlock patron. That's my feeling.
Sorry, who's a warlock patron?
Erebor.
Oh, I mean, Mary could be. Or just could be a vampire.
I mean, it feels like it's got a cult.
Very true, very true.
Raven Queen's better, though.
I'm going to whisper to Vulcan and say, just confirm that if we save him and deal with Caraptis, he will release the Whelm to us, as that is our main goal for being here.
My hearing is most very efficacious, yes. I do not wish to have this weapon by my side anymore. It is cursed. It's led me to nothing but ruin and temptation.
Well, as you heard Zuvus say, that is the goal here. To reclaim the weapon and hopefully defeat Caraptis in the process. If we do that.
Tenmir agrees. Like, I will gladly give up Whelm if you feel you can take the weapon and marshal it to your own prowess. I am so glad to see you, my friend, after so long.
I wish I knew if he was cute.
It would have been nice.
Well, wait, answer the question.
He was at the time, but...
I am no longer. Hideous to look at.
I wish I could see you as well, old friend, but I will respect your wishes of being encased in darkness.
Thank you. My only worry is that my vampiric nature will take hold of me, and I will gladly give up the Whelm. But I do not wish to take the lives of those around me, as my hunger for blood cannot be slated. If you were to dispatch Caraptis, his hold on me and the requirement for me to stay within these confines would be removed.
That sounds like a fair trade.
You gonna release a vampire into the world?
That's what he's saying.
Is there a way to remove this curse? I don't know vampires. Jot, any thoughts?
He just shakes his head. He doesn't know anything.
He's not so useful, this guy.
What if, when we release you and do defeat Caraptus, we find willing creatures that give you samples here and there, so you do not kill them, but it just keeps your thirst at bay?
Do you know these people? It is a strange...
Who do you know?
I'm sure that there is some sort of fetish among creatures that partake in this venture.
I am most intrigued. I would be willing to put myself in the hands of your most capable friend, that you could stop me from any sort of depredation that I may wish to rain upon the living.
Do they feed you in here?
No, I am a vampire. I do not have requirements for sustenance.
Oh.
We will find a solution for you once we have dispatched Caraptus.
There is no response from the darkness.
I guess he went to bed.
When you go to fight Caraptus, I would aid you.
Just aid us. Don't kill us.
Just aid us, don't ate us. I thought that's what you were going to say, and I was really sad you didn't.
That's awesome. Because flight is still available to you, you take wing and you fly back across the chasm and avoiding the geysers because you're stupid nat 20 and high rolls. You know what to look for, so you avoid them most easily. They only go off every 3 and 5 minutes. And you land on the other side, fly down the corridor. The flesh golem stands awaiting you at the turnstile.
Come on, Puddin'.
The flesh golem turns and follows you as you fly back down the corridor, fly through the room with the golems in it, fly back across the green algae.
Nice.
That causes Zuvus no doubt to shudder.
I think every room we fly through causes me to shudder.
Flies over it. You return back to the Gynosphinx. You have finished all of the rooms, all of the corridors of this dungeon. You know every nook and cranny. You've been to every location. You know where all 3 of the sentient artifacts are.
We just need to decide on how to call Caraptus, kick his butt, and then take the things. I guess we just take one of them.
But to the north, there is that little alcove room with a wheel in it that only Vulcan found, and that no one was particularly inclined to even inspecting before. And as we end today's session, it is with our party gathered at that location, turning the wheel. Zuvus, not so much. Vulcan and Thaysis, with their prodigious strength, grinding and turning the wheel. And as soon as you manage to get it a little bit turned, it is stuck as all heck. There is a sudden pull and tug, and all of the water that you've been wading through and walking through since ever you first descended into this dungeon, that trickles and percolates through all 3 sections of this dungeon, begins to rush out of the dungeon as little holes appear in the floor around you, pulling all of the water out. And as the water finishes and goes from 1.5 feet to 6 inches, and from 6 inches to 3, and from 3 inches to 1, and trickles into bare pools that remain, the Gynosphinx breathes a sigh of relief and doesn't have to keep their tail lifted out of water anymore. But a stairwell suddenly appears, ka-kunk, 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 around the exterior of this round room's walls, leading to greater depths and potentially Caraptus himself.
Cool. I'm going to do a tiny fist bump with Jot.
Now, typically that is the end of the dungeon. That is literally the end of the dungeon.
But we're going to fight him.
But my players have told me time and again, as you heard from Paige just now, that this is not finished for them. They want to take the fight to Caraptus himself. So, next time, that's just what we're going to do.
That's just combat time.
This concludes this episode of Tavern Tales, a curated Dungeons & Dragons 5e game set in the Tales of the Yawning Portal adventure module by Wizards of the Coast. Our intro and outro music is the song Tavern Tales by the Bad Billy Band. You can find out more about the Bad Billy Band on iTunes or at www.badbillyband.com or follow them on Twitter at badbillyband. Thanks for listening. Please feel free to leave us a review on iTunes or find us on Twitter at tavern_tales. We'll be back next week with more of the adventure.